Good morning. Hope you all had a good weekend and welcome back. So all of this week, we are going through employment interviews. We've got 3 pairs today, and we'll keep on going down the line this week. So just to let you know, put on your radar, the final interviews that you'll be giving in the class after this round will be the specialized interviews, and I'll be circulating information and giving you a preference Google form later this week. But I just want to put on your radar that for this final interview in the class, you'll be able to pick between 4 different types of interviews, 1 that we've already talked about and 3 that we'll be talking about after this week. So that is performance, persuasive counseling, or healthcare interviews. So as you're looking through the readings this week and next week, and as you're thinking ahead, you might think about which of those 4 sounds especially interesting to you or especially relevant for your professional interests. So I encourage you to be thinking about this and considering, what option you might have a strong preference for, or if you don't have a strong preference, then you can be randomly slotted into one of those 4. So that's coming up. So like before, I'm asking if you are not participating in an interview today for your attendance, just take notes about some of the things that you noticed from both interviewers and interviewees in this process. Again, 6 to 8 minutes. I will let you know when 4 minutes are remaining, 3 minutes are remaining, 2 and 1. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get rolling with our first partnership with the class. So we will hear from both of you and keep on going from there.
Good morning, Sade. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to participate in this interview. I'm Austin, and I'll be interviewing you for the head coach position in our volleyball program. This interview is being recorded. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
First off, would you mind telling me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, okay. So I'm currently a student athlete at East Oregon University. I'm on the track and volleyball team, and I'm majoring in business administration and will be graduating next year.
I saw on your resume that you worked as a housekeeper. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, I worked as a housekeeper and at the front desk for a while. I'd say it was a valuable experience for me. I got more comfortable interacting with people, and I also feel like I gained a lot of patience a lot.
And why did you leave that?
Because I had to move back to my college town.
What do you know about this organization?
I know that this organization meets what I'm looking for. I've always wanted to coach, and while I was looking through the website, I think the organization brings a positive environment that I've been looking for in both.
And then why did you want to work for us?
I viewed this job opportunity and just thought it would be a perfect fit for me, as I want to gain more experience with coaching.
What initially interested you about becoming a coach?
So in high school is when I really knew that I wanted to get into coaching. I was on the track, volleyball, and basketball team, and we would host camps for kids, and it was really fun for me seeing them succeed and being a part of it. And ever since then, I wanted to get into coaching.
What would you say your coaching style is?
I'd say it's a mix of autocratic and democratic coaching. I'd say autocratic because I'm good at decision-making skills fast, and I try to stay calm under pressure. And then I'd say democratic because I like to focus a lot on communication, and I like receiving feedback and criticism.
What would you say are your greatest strengths and weaknesses?
My greatest strength would probably be my competitiveness. I love to win and always want to see my team succeed. So I'll do everything I can to help them reach their goals. And then my greatest weakness, I'd say I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I like things to be as close to perfect as possible, which I might pick at too many little things at people, and if they're doing wrong. But I also see that as a strength that I'm just trying to make my parents the best versions they could be.
there any experiences as an athlete that you think provided you with skills to create a positive and productive team environment?
I think being an athlete at the collegiate level has helped me realize how to create a healthy environment for my team. I feel like I've been through some teams where the environment wasn't very positive, wasn't beneficial. But I feel like I'm getting a better understanding of a positive environment at this level.
Could you maybe give me an example of how you motivate a player that is losing their confidence?
Yes. First, I would probably have a one-on-one meeting with the person to see if there's like a specific reason that they're losing their confidence or motivation. Then I would ask them what I could do differently to help them succeed. And I would make sure also to be more consistent in supporting them and just try to make them better and remember the reason why they're
Great. What would you say your short-term career goals are?
I'd say my short-term career goals are to just gain coaching experience overall and just try to be successful in it.
And what about long?
Overall, I want to get into like sports marketing or social media marketing, but I still like want to do that along with coaching other kids.
Cool. Why do you think we should select you over other?
I think you should select me just because of some of my experiences I've had. I've worked at countless camps throughout the years, and I've seen what's been beneficial and what hasn't been. I also think I can bring a different and unique perspective that can help motivate athletes.
Okay, well, that will conclude my questioning for today. Do you have any questions about the job or our organization?
Yes. How would you describe the work environment?
I would describe it as fun and productive. We formed an environment that allows all staff to connect, to learn from each other, and to improve as coaches, as well as become better people.
And then, what is a typical day at work?
I would say a typical day at work would probably be meeting your players for weight training and then setting up practice and running that, and then maybe contacting your teammates over your communication app with the team.
Well, that's fine. What are the ideal qualities you're looking for during the process?
I think we look for responsibility the most. It's really important to stay on top of your stuff. So being able to do that will definitely help you succeed in this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Austin. My name is Charlotte Williams, and I will be interviewing you for the coaching position for our soccer program. There will be a couple minutes at the end for you to ask questions, but before we start, do you have any questions? Okay, this interview is currently being recorded. Are you okay with that? Thank you for taking the time for this interview. Okay, first, could you tell me a little bit about this?
Yeah, I'm currently attending Eastern Oregon University, where I play soccer. I'm majoring in psychology with a minor in communications, and I'm very interested in becoming a coach.
Why did you choose to apply here?
I was looking for possible coaching positions, and I came across your guys's, so I did a little research on the program, and I thought it would be a nice fit for me.
On your resume, it said that you worked at a car wash. Do you think you had any experiences that would help you with becoming a coach?
Yeah, I think the car wash helped me with meeting new people and communicating well. It's important to be able to deal with situations on the fly, and working at the car wash definitely helped with that.
Why did you leave the car wash job?
I left because I was recruited to play soccer here at UU, and I need to leave.
What got you interested in becoming a coach?
I think my interest in coaching comes from my love of sports. I've been playing them all my life, and I would love for soccer to be a part of my career.
What would you say your greatest strength and weaknesses are?
I think my greatest weakness is my tendency to get down on myself when I mess up. But playing sports and being in a supportive environment has really helped me change my mindset in those situations. And then I think my greatest strength is my ability to work hard. I can find myself putting my head down and getting to work when it matters.
What experiences have prepared you for coaching, and do you have any specific examples?
I would say something that prepared me for coaching was having siblings. I have an older brother, and I learned to accept criticism and grow from it. But I also have two younger sisters, and they helped me learn to mediate many different situations.
How do you view the relationship between academics and athletics?
I think the relationship is very important. I think that academics should come first for the most part because student athletes will eventually have a job and will need that education.
How would you help the team succeed when you're struggling?
I think that being personal with every player plays a vital role in helping the team succeed. If every player knows the coach has their back, then the team can improve.
When parents come to you about playing time, how would you handle this situation?
I would handle it seriously. It's important to listen to the parent side of the story and make it known that you understand. But at the same time, if they don't like my final decision about the playing time their kid gets, then I have to be stern, but still respectful.
What do you think is the most crucial factor in being successful?
I would say chemistry and discipline, because together they include trust, respect, and hard work.
And then how would you describe your coaching style?
I would describe it as fun, but direct.
What kind of work environment would you like to?
I'd love to work in an environment where athletes and coaches are almost like friends. Like maybe they have each other's backs and help each other when they
And then lastly, why should we select you over the qualified candidates?
I think you should hire me over other candidates because I can connect with athletes well, and I also bring a sense of urgency to a team. I want to succeed, and I want my players to succeed as well.
Okay, well, thank you for taking the time and coming in for this interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do. What does your ideal coach look like?
Our ideal coach would be someone who is competitive and wants to make the team as successful as possible. We also want someone who knows how to help the athletes balance school and sports.
Okay. And what does an average day look like on the job?
An average day on the job would be you creating practice plans prior to practice, and we also have meetings twice a week that all the coaches must attend. You also need to make sure your athletes are going to study hall twice a week. And other than that, it's really up to you what you do with your day to help your team be as successful as possible.
Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
And awesome, thank you both. We are going to be moving on to Sergeant Garrett.
Thank you for coming in today, Garrett. My name is Addison Bonzani. I'm tasked with hiring someone to fill the high school boys soccer coach. I will be recording this interview to help with decision-making processes at a later point. Are you comfortable?
Yep.
Perfect. Any questions before we get started?
Nope.
Perfect. So I would love if you could tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a freshman here at Eastern Oregon University. I'm currently studying to get a computer science degree, and I'm a player on the men's soccer team. And I've been playing sports such as basketball and baseball my entire life. And yeah.
Perfect. That's wonderful. What positions have you played in soccer?
When I was younger, I used to play in the midfield. I was an attacker when I was smaller, and then as I got older, I grew a lot in a couple of years, and I got converted to a center back.
Nice. Which of the work or volunteer experiences on your resume best prepared you for working as a soccer coach?
I would say my experiences working at an indoor soccer center in Spokane, and I also was a coach for Skyhawks. We coached little kids camps in the summer. Did that for the past 2 years, but working in the indoor facility really taught me how to like manage parents and that if they ever have like issues or questions. You know, I learned a lot of personable skills to be able to like relate to them and like calm them down if they were very upset about something like that. And for Skyhawks, coaching little kids helped me like gauge what their interests are, what they like and dislike, and what can gain their attention to really help them learn what we're trying to teach.
Perfect. Love to hear. I noticed from your resume that you attend EOU. What is your level of education currently?
I'm a freshman here at college, and yeah.
Yes. All right. And are you planning on pursuing higher education after you're done here at EOU?
I'm still debating. I've been thinking about possibly staying for a couple more years. I think about maybe trying to go for. I was thinking about maybe trying to go for a master's in business, but I haven't decided if I want to double major or not. I'm still thinking about it, but yes.
Time to make that decision. As a follow-up on that thread, how has your education prepared you for this position?
Well, I would say overall, like growing up through all the education that I've had, I've learned a lot of like people skills and learning how to communicate with others and like collaborate on different things. And so I would say I learned how to be like very in a sense personable. Yeah, like getting to know the kids, getting to know their families, and trying to get to know their backgrounds to better help their teaching process.
What drew you to this position?
I've been playing sports my whole life, and I never want to get out of it. So I want to keep it in my life and make sure that it's a part of it.
So walk me through how you would prep for a single or a series of practices.
Well, typically throughout the week, depending on the skill level of the kids that I'm teaching, we probably start out with some like a 15-minute, 20-minute warm-up, probably some laps around the field, and then doing some stretching lines, you know, and just get them moving and get their legs warmed up. Then we hop into a series of rondos, which is just like 4 people around the corners and 1 guy in the middle, pass the ball around, steals it, they rotate. Then eventually we probably go into some passing drills or patterns and do that for about 30 minutes, I would say. And then eventually we hop into scrimmage towards the end of the practice, probably doing either like possession drills or probably possession drill, then into a scrimmage. Yeah.
Excellent answer. How do you check on or gauge the progress of the children you are coaching?
I would like to do a day, probably like every so couple weeks, probably ask them if they want to do individual meetings. I mean, obviously depending on the age level, but for the high school boys, I would definitely want to ask for their input on what they have, if they have any questions for me, if they have any information for me that I could like help improve me being a coach for them.
Here is a scenario. 2 of your students get into a physical altercation on the field. What is the process you would take to end the altercation and resolve conflict in the match?
Would this be in the on like during a game or at practice?
Okay, either or.
Okay, well, if it's during the game, I would kind of let the referee kind of handle the situation, and then based off that, you know, obviously depending on what my kid did or both of my kids, I'd probably pull them both off the field and talk to them about the scenario, tell them that like it's unacceptable. I'd probably punish them a little bit, like at least maybe sit them down for a bit, or maybe make them run a little extra practice based off the altercation level of it. But if they were at practice, I'd immediately step in and break it up. Wouldn't let it exceed any further. And depending how bad it is, we could, if need be, talk to parents or something like that.
How many times would you say that you've resolved student conflict in your past experiences?
A couple times. With the Skyhawks, with the younger kids, a lot of them like to scratch and stuff. So it's but I haven't ever had to do like anything too serious. Basically, just they'll really listen to me if I tell them to stop. So
So why should we choose you over other applicants?
I think I'm very passionate for the sports that I'm coaching. I want to make sure that coaches have been like a huge part of my life and they made a big impact on me, and I want to be able to make that impact on others.
Are you willing to travel for this position?
Of course.
Is there anything else you would like the hiring committee or I to know?
What kind of culture would you guys say to?
I feel like we really put the children that we are coaching at the center of our entire focus. And so we really make sure that we have a growth mindset. We are centered on the specific students and what they need to succeed. So I really feel like that is the truth.
Awesome.
Great. Do you have any other questions for me?
Nope, I'm all good.
Thank you for making the time to meet with me. I've enjoyed getting to insight into your experiences and qualifications, and you can expect us to reach out.
Awesome, sounds good. Sure. And yeah, fine. Okay. All right. Hello and good morning. My name is Gary Hewitt and you're Addison, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, to get some background on me, I'm the manager here at Anderson Perry, and I'm tasked with handling this interview with you. This interview will help us gauge your interests, goals, and experiences, find the best possible fit for our company moving forward. Do you have any questions before we start?
No.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 20 years old. I'm a student at EAU at Eastern University, soon to graduate, 4 weeks and a couple days in counting. I come from a big family, and I was born in an urban area, but have lived in a rural area for most of my life. And I feel like all of those things really play into my experiences and how I interact with people.
So what skills do you bring to the table?
I feel like at this point, I lean a lot on my academic and volunteer experiences, but I also have, in my opinion, very good interpersonal skills. I have a lot of experience in a big family working with children, in my work and volunteer experiences, working with professional people. And so I feel like I have a lot of experience in a wide range of skills.
And how would you say these skills would apply to being an archaeologist?
Specifically, I have directly applicable skills, I believe. I have experience working with data and Excel. I have experience working with bones and artifacts and remains recovery. I have experience working in the field, and I really love being outside, so I know that that is a very big part. I do have training in wilderness first aid and just lake responder, and so I am well prepared in case of an emergency to be able to assist myself and other members of the team.
Awesome. Well, why is it that you want to work for us?
I recently, a few weeks ago, took a volunteer experience with a professor here at EOU to go out to a site called Fort Henrietta to do some volunteer work. And I laid out some grids and doing some excavation and some screening. And this was with Anderson Perry. And so I feel like that experience really let me get an insight into the employee atmosphere, the way that a daily workday is run. And I thought that it was a very positive experience. And so I really wanted to do some more research into it, and that really got the ball rolling into this.
Great. Well, I'm glad we can help with that. What struggles have you run into in this field?
I feel like conflict management has been a little bit of a struggle, not necessarily like direct altercations of any sort, but a lot of people in this field are politically on the other side of the spectrum from me, and so just supporting what I believe in with the science without making them feel belittled or like we're on opposite sides of the spectrum. We're both here to do a job, to get answers into history and artifacts and things like that. And so focusing on our commonalities without, giving up anything that I believe without compromising my morals or beliefs or things like that. And additionally, I found a lot of the people that I would be working for in this field are very passionate, and that is what they bring to the table. And so I found that I need to be more direct and more task oriented and organized than I would normally have been in the past to be able to balance that out.
And then on a scale of 1 to 5, how are your interpersonal and communication skills? 1 being you don't like to talk to anyone whatsoever. 1 or 5 being that you love to work with others.
I would say 4, because my social battery, so to speak, doesn't last 24/7, 365. And so I do think I work well with a large range of ages, and I really love connecting with people. But at a certain point of the day or after a long period of time without a break, it does become taxing for me, and it does become a bit of a chore. So that is something that I've had to work on extending.
What's piqued your interest in becoming an archaeologist?
It was kind of an accident at first. I've always been very driven towards education and a career, but I didn't always have the direction. And so I kind of stumbled upon archaeology, and that's how I came into anthropology, sociology at EOU.
Okay.
And taking that path kind of led me down the rabbit hole. And so a lot of research, a lot of experience working closely with faculty members, conferences and things like that. And I am completely in love with it. Like, I think it fits me very well, and it's something I'm very passionate about now. So I'm lucky that I stumbled upon it.
Awesome. So what would you say were your biggest accomplishments in archaeology?
In archaeology specifically, I would say some of my biggest accomplishments have been the amount of volunteer and academic experiences I've been able to get at this point in time. I am fairly young, and I've only been at EOU for 2 years with this degree, so I'm quite proud of the amount I've been able to achieve. I would also say that the archaeological field school that I went to, I was very proud of my ability to contribute to the work there, and the range of experiences that I got was something I'm very proud of.
Awesome. Why should we hire you over the other applicants?
I think I bring a lot of energy and ideas to the position that someone older or with different experiences have. So I think that I may have a little bit of a learning curve, but I am a quick learner, and I can bring a lot to the table in terms of bringing the company forward and keeping it running.
Awesome. So we'd like to hear. Would you see this as a long-term job or a short-term job?
Currently, I do plan on going to grad school. So the shortest term I can see staying in this position is about a year. And so I would love to stay longer, but it depends on your guys' ability to work with me and where I go for grad school. So
we can be flexible with you then. Well, we're at the end of the interview. So with that being said, do you have any follow-up questions for me?
I do, yes. Can you tell me a little bit about what the ideal candidate for this position looks like?
We want somebody that's going to be a hard worker. Obviously, we want somebody that can collaborate with others, to be a strong communicator. We want everyone to be happy and content with where they're working, how they're working, who they're working with. And we want our archaeologists to be able to be supported in the best way possible. We don't want them to have any hiccups along the way with their research and knowledge. And yeah.
Great. That's one of the points.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your application. We will stay in touch regarding the position to keep you informed.
Thank you.
And we'll hear from our final partnership, Garrett and Brett.
Yeah. Yeah, I can.
Good morning, Britt. My name is Ernest Saronic. How are you doing today?
You do. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for meeting with us in person for this interview. A lot of our interviews have taken place via Zoom, so having that in-person interview experience allows for a lot more personal feel. We appreciate your interest in working for the Los Angeles Lakers and are excited to see what you could provide for the company. So before we get started, do you have any questions that you wish to ask me?
Not.
Okay. So to start us off, I would like to get to know and understand your educational background. What is the most amount of schooling that you have attended?
I'm in my third year currently, but I have my associate's degree because I went to a community college. So I am currently have one more year until I achieve my bachelor's degree.
Okay, and what is that bachelor's in?
Communications with a minor in business.
During your time at school, what were some of the achievements or accomplishments that you have obtained?
I would say one achievement I've obtained is being a full-time athlete and working full-time and also maintaining a 3.7 or higher GPA. I feel like it can be really stressful when you're working and being an athlete because being an athlete is kind of like a second job and still trying to be successful in the classroom. So I think that's major achievements.
How can your experience within the classroom be beneficial to your work on our marketing team?
I feel like just going back, also having to be an athlete and work and be successful in the classroom. I feel like you have to learn really well like time management, and you can't like kind of slack off in any area because being an athlete is a job. You have to show up every day, and in the classroom, it also is a job. Like you have to show up every day and put your best foot forward. And I just think I've had a lot of experience with time management and being able to kind of work around all of that and so be successful.
Okay. Being that you are interviewing for a position for marketing for a professional sports team, how can your personal experience in athletics benefit our marketing team?
I grew up playing sports pretty much my whole life, so I feel like I've just kind of been in the sports world for all my life, and that's really like all I know. And I think the competitive environment and unique experiences that are what draw me to want to continue to be in the sports world. And being an athlete most of my life, I feel like I have an eye for kind of like what other athletes or what fans might like to see.
So you said sports was heavy in your past. Have you ever played or been involved with basketball?
Yeah, I played basketball pretty much my whole life up until my junior year of high school, and then I tore my ACL and decided to pursue a different sport.
Do you have any prior experience in marketing?
I do not have any prior experience in marketing.
How did you get interested in marketing in the first place?
I think just because growing up in the sports world, I've been like on the receiving side of marketing and like seeing like what ads and like what other sports teams put out. And I just feel because of that experience, I could have a unique approach to marketing as well. And that's kind of like what got me interested in.
Do you have any background or prior experience in digital design?
I do work currently in the early college mentorship program, which is just working with students while I take dual credits. And with that job, I have to work with like Photoshop and other websites like that to create t-shirts or branding for career services or events that are going on campus.
Perfect. Being that marketing deals with a lot of creativity, can you provide some more examples of something you've participated in or perhaps any exhibitions that show artistic or creative characteristics?
Going back to working with the early initiative department, I have to work, we kind of have to put on events for students, and we kind of have to see what students would want to see to get them interested in coming to EOU and like continuing their education. So I've worked with, like I said, Photoshop and like custom making stuff, creating some branding and some t-shirts and stuff like that. And I feel like that's kind of the most experience I've had with that.
How do you feel working or performing in a group setting?
I feel really good about working in groups. I feel like I work well in groups. I also work well alone, but I feel like when it is more important to work in groups, I feel like I can mend to that successfully.
Are there any challenges that you feel you face when working within a group setting?
No, I don't think so. I think I work really well in groups, and I feel like when that is like the best option, then I'm like 100% for that.
Now, why do you want to work for the Los Angeles Lakers?
I believe that my professional beliefs line up with this company, and I also have enjoyed the work that you guys have put out and think it's been of excellent quality. And I believe that I can learn a lot from this company and continue to grow my professional connections.
Are there any characteristics about the Lakers that you feel could be improved upon?
I think just utilizing customer feedback and integrating the needs of younger fans can help increase success.
What are some goals, long or short, that you have set up for yourself?
I just kind of want to gain more knowledge of marketing in the sports world and start to develop a portfolio of some marketing skills and projects. And I think the Lakers can help with those goals just because they are very well known and are in the public eye a lot. And this can help me see kind of how bigger sports teams work and navigate the marketing world, and then how their marketing affects the public as well.
What does your preferred workspace look like?
I don't think I really have like a preferred workspace. I think I'm really flexible and can kind of work wherever, whether that's working remote or working in the office. I really don't think I have a preference.
Now, what are some strengths that you possess that would be beneficial for us?
I feel like I do very well at keeping my composure in pressure situations just because I've grown up in sports. My life you're put in pressure situations a lot, and I feel like I do an excellent job at taking the time to regroup and getting tasks done. And also working in customer service, there has been many times where you have a lot of customers who need something from you, and you kind of have to find a way to juggle it all and still be successful and meet their needs.
What are some of your weaknesses?
I would say one weakness I have is I have a hard time saying no. I sometimes take on more than I would like to. Lately, to help that weakness, I have been working on setting more realistic expectations for myself and using a calendar to write out what I have so I can like physically see what's on my plate and see what time I have available to take on extra tasks.
Now, what are some challenges that you see within the field of marketing?
I think one challenge is just because the public is such a broad audience, like you have multiple personalities and peoples and beliefs in them, and you kind of have to find a way to market to that group while speaking to all people in that group.
Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the absolute worst and 10 being the absolute best, how well do you feel you deal with stressful scenarios?
What was the scale again? 1 to 5 or 1 to 10?
1 to 10.
1 to 10. I would say probably about an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, on the same 1 to 10 scale, how low do you feel your time management is?
I would also say 8.
Okay, well, perfect. Those are all the questions I have for you today. Are there any questions that you have for me?
Yes. How do you guys measure success in this role?
So our success deals a lot with how we function as a team, as well as the numbers we produce. Our marketing team has been very successful in the past. Everyone knows about the Lakers because our strength is in marketing and getting our name out to the public. So when we look at what we do from a marketing point of view, we see the numbers that it provides, and we're very happy with that and want to just maintain that as much as we can.
And then also, how would you describe the team culture?
It's a very tight-knit, bonded culture. We work well together. We have each other's backs. I'd say it's more of a family rather than a company, and we just look out for each other overall.
Perfect. And that's all the questions.
Perfect. We will be contacting you within the next 2 weeks to let you know if you got the job or not. I'd like to thank you once again for taking the time out of your day for this.
Okay, thank you.
You're right.
Good morning, Paris. My name is Britt Bond. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate your interest in working for the LA law firm. How's your day going today?
It's going great. Thank you.
And there will be some time at the end for you to ask questions, but before we begin, do you have any questions so far?
I do not.
To start out, I would love to hear about your educational background. How many years of school have you completed and where was this taking place?
So I completed my first 2 years of obtaining my associates in Southern California, specifically College of the Desert. From there, I transferred to Eastern Oregon University to finish my bachelor's in economics. And then I got an opportunity to go to UC Irvine for law school. So I'm finishing that up right now.
And how would you say your experience was throughout all of those different schools and locations?
So I felt like throughout all my classes and all the challenges I have faced, I dealt very well. My time management was exceptional, where I got everything done on time and even weeks before. So I was able to get all my schoolwork done early. And I'd say I just had a great experience throughout the college path overall.
And how would you say your experiences at your previous schools can help you be successful at our law firm?
So I started off being interested in business, which is why I majored in economics. Everyone has a business degree, so I thought I'd go more kind of specify the route in terms of that. And then I knew I wanted to do intellectual property law because it ties in business with law together. So I've learned a lot from the classes that I took at all three of my schools. UC Irvine kind of handles the law section, and I learned a lot from marketing and dealing with people and the overall business side throughout the first 2 years or first 4 years of my school, my bachelor's and associate's degree.
And how did you hear about our firm?
So you guys have a very big clientele, a lot of big personas that you work with, a lot of big companies. And I know the LA law firm as the law firm to be in. So I thought there's no better place or any other company I'd want to work for.
And just to go off of that, why did you choose this firm over others?
So although there are a lot of law firms in the Los Angeles area, I'd say just because of the clientele that you guys do have and the broad variety that you work with, you don't just work with tech companies, you don't just work with environmental companies, you work with tech, environmental, clothing, you work with a lot of variety within the law firm, which I'm very happy and interested in.
And would you say that like our clientele is what interests you the most about this firm?
Yes.
And what got you interested in law?
So I've always been from a very young age interested in the field of law. Throughout high school, I knew I enjoyed business as well, which is again why I decided to do economics. But I saw intellectual property law as that business law that was able to merge both of my worlds combined. I really like business, really like law, so it was a great mix.
Do you have any experience within a law firm or working with law, like any internships or anything like that?
I do. I've shadowed multiple lawyers that deal with intellectual property law as well as other types of law, specifically in the Coachella Valley where I'm from. I have dealt with Mr. Stiegel. I don't know if you know him, but there's a lot of big lawyers there that I have shadowed and kind of into.
What would you say are your short-term career goals?
So short-term would just be being an intellectual property lawyer. It's been my goal for a while. Long-term, I want to deal with a variety of clientele and build a name for myself in the intellectual property field.
And how would you say our company will help you achieve those goals?
I see the LA law firm as a great way to get to those big companies, those big characters within intellectual property. So I just see it as a great way to get my name out there, to build a reputation for myself and be successful.
And what would you say is your ideal workspace?
I'd say I'm very versatile, so I don't really have an ideal workspace. I can work from home, I can work in person, I can work in groups. I prefer to work on tasks by myself, individualized, but I'd say I don't really have a preference. I'm very versatile.
Going off of that, how would you say that you perform in a group setting?
I'd say my performance could be better. I'm the type of person where I'm very confident in my abilities. So whenever there's a task, I'd like to do everything myself. Yeah. I know how to approach things. I have a certain way to do things. My decision making, I feel, is very good. So I can work in groups, but I prefer being in control of that sense.
And what would you say are some of your weaknesses?
It's definitely my biggest one would be working in the groups. I can do it, but again, just with the confidence I have in myself, I prefer being individualistic.
What are some of your strengths?
I'd say my strengths are my confidence, my strong decision making, and my ability to time manage and take on strong tasks.
And what do you find most challenging about the field of law?
So specifically within intellectual property law, there's a lot of verbal kind of dilemmas that you engage with. You have to be very specific when creating these contracts, make sure that there's no loopholes that other companies can take advantage of to steal that product. So you just have to be very careful when creating these patents and know what verbiage to use.
Tell me about one work accomplishment that you have had.
So Being that the only experience in law that I have dealt with has been shadowing and internships, I would say within the field of law, I've had a lot of accomplishments, but I've had prior jobs in sales and marketing before where I was the top performer in our company for months and months on end. And I'd say when looking from an academic setting, I've always been on the dean's list. There hasn't been one semester where I wasn't. So.
And as we close out this interview, I just have a few more questions. Have you applied for any other positions recently?
I have. There's 2 other firms that I have applied for.
And have you been interviewed at those firms or just applied?
I haven't. I have been interviewed by one, and then I have been interviewed next week.
And that is all the questions I have for you today. Thank you for taking the time to join me. Is there anything else you would like to add about your experiences, or do you have any questions?
I do have some questions. The first one being, what are the metrics that will be used to evaluate my performance?
We evaluate performance by looking at client satisfaction, and then also like the number of cases that end in our favor. So we just kind of look at that and see like what those numbers are and like what we're producing from.
And then I have one more question. It is, what are the immediate projects that I would be involved in if I were hired?
Currently we are dealing with a copyright case, which is one of the immediate projects that you will be a part of. And then we have a few more kind of in the works that we haven't gotten figured out yet, but we have a few more also coming in.
Perfect.
And like I stated, we have a few more projects coming up, so we will be in touch in the next few days to be clear. We think you are a good fit. And thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you both. In the remaining couple minutes that we have, I'll just have some general points of feedback, things that I noticed from the interviews. So across the board, I think people are doing a really good job of showing enthusiasm and interest in positions. They really show that they know and are able to fit within what they're looking for. I also think interviewers do a really good job of framing and setting up the interviews, and also opening up questions and having interviewees ask questions. One thing that I would encourage, and I noticed this, for instance, in the interviews with Addison here. So if you are asking a question like, what does your ideal candidate look like, right? And you're at that stage at the end of the interview, one thing that you can do is you're making your final pitch, your final statement. So if somebody is identifying as an interviewer or recruiter, here are the qualities that we're looking for, maybe you respond by giving a brief reminder or explanation. Okay, this is a great fit. I do bring this character as here's why, or reiterating the previous point you made in the interview. That way, right, if you're asking that kind of question, you're not kind of leaving it there. Okay, now I know who your candidate is. Instead saying, well, this is why this fits for me, right? So think about when you're asking questions, using a strategy of teeing up, responses that would align well with your qualities. When you're asking a question, for instance, with Ferris Brit, right? I don't have experience marketing. You might say, I don't have this experience in marketing, but here's how I might approach this, or here's how my previous experience might help me with marketing. Another thing I noticed in the interviews between Britt and Ferris, and one thing to think about in some of the interviews as well, notice the constant mistake, right, is bringing in your own qualifications. Experience is good, but be careful about you, me language, and focus on us, we language, right? A lot of this is about angling yourself and explaining how you fit in. Because think about it from their perspective, right? As an employer or recruiter, you're looking for somebody that is helping the position, is adding to the job. So really making sure that you're showing yourself as a team player and showing how the group is going to benefit from your inclusion is important too, right? Showing not so much about your accomplishments, but about how your accomplishments will benefit the organization. So continue to think a little bit about that. And then in interviews between today and Austin, and again, more broadly, think about the usage of more specific examples. Again, coming as a student, perhaps you're like, I don't have an example of this, but there is an example talking about character or experience. For instance, using the STAR and PAR methods as explaining a problem or issue and how you address that issue. For instance, I thought, Garrett's like laying out of the steps in the process of how a practice would work was a really good visualization. Using like a hypothetical example or talking about a situation from your past, maybe where you were struggling in a course and address that problem or issue, like having those ready-made like scenarios or problems and explain how you address those, just adds more detail. If you say I'm a hard worker, great. What is an example of that? Because I think providing those examples of experiences help put you over. But overall, really solid round of interviews. Thank you all for doing those. If you haven't done so already, please pass back or email me your attendance of the day. Have a great rest of your morning, and I will see you again for class on Wednesday.
No, I